Hi there, history buffs. We've got an amazing story for you today that you won't want to miss. Vietnam is a country with a distinct and long-standing culture. According to archaeologists, the area that is now Vietnam has been inhabited by humans since the Paleolithic Age, between 11,000 and 23,000 years ago. During that period, the groups of primitive Vietnamese people lived by hunting and gathering in a tropical ecosystem with a rich and diverse world of flora and fauna. Over time, production tools developed. Metal tools and weapons appeared, replacing the stone tools of the previous era. At the same time, the development of wet rice cultivation techniques led to the appearance of bronze and iron civilizations, most notably the Dong Sun culture in the northern delta, dating back to approximately 800 BCE. As labor productivity increased and surplus food was produced, private ownership emerged. From there, the primitive society gradually evolved into a class-based society with a state. Modern science has proven that humans evolved from hominids and then took tens to hundreds of thousands of years to form a society with a state. However, every nation wants a more noble origin. That is why legends and myths were born. According to various legends around the world, humans were often created or born by gods. In Greek mythology, humans were created by the god Prometheus. In Chinese mythology, the goddess Nua molded people from mud. And in Vietnamese legend, history often begins with the story of the Dragon Lord and the fairy. It is said that the progenitor of our country was Kin Duong Vuong, who became king around 2879 BCE, with the country's name as Shich Kwai. The territory of the country under Kin Duong Vuong was vast, extending north to the Yangtze River, south to Champa, east to the East Sea, and west to Bathuch, now Sichuan, China. Kin Duong Vuong married the daughter of the Dragon Lord of Dong Din Lake, and had a son named Sung Lam, who ascended to the throne and was called Loc Long Quan. Later, Loc Long Quan married Auco, the daughter of Dalai, and she gave birth to a pouch of 100 eggs. The 100 eggs hatched into 100 children. One day, Loc Long Quan told Auco, "I am of the dragon race, and you are of the fairy race. Water and fire are incompatible and cannot live together." The two then divided their children and lived separately. 50 children followed their mother to the mountains, and 50 followed their father to the sea, each ruling over different lands. They were the progenitors of the Bach Viet people. The eldest son, who followed his mother to the land of Phong Chau, now Viet Tri Phu Tho, was honored as king and called Hung Vuong. He named the country Van Lang. Hung Vuong divided the country into 15 departments and appointed his younger brothers to govern. The civil officials were called Lac Hao, and the military officials were called Lac Tuong. The king's sons were called Quan Lang, and the king's daughters were called Min Wong. Material life was still rudimentary. People used wood to build stilt houses, wove grass for mats, and used tree bark for clothing. In daily life, men went shirtless and wore loincloths, while the king and officials had two-piece shirts. Women wore skirts. For production, people grew wet rice and domesticated livestock. Tools included plows, household items, and weapons such as axes. For travel, they used boats. Spiritual life involved customs such as tattooing, blackened teeth, and betel nut chewing. They worshipped ancestors and revered natural forces, such as the mountain god, the river god, and the wind god. During festivals, people often wore hats adorned with feathers, played horns, beat drums, danced, and raced boats. The Hong Bang period is known primarily through legends. While their accuracy may not be high, due to being passed down orally through many generations, the legends do show different aspects of cultural and political life in Vietnam during this period. The legend of Bon Chung and Bon Day Square and round sticky rice cakes hints at politics, as the Hung kings could openly organize competitions to find a successor. In terms of agriculture, The Vietnamese people of this era had developed wet rice cultivation and animal husbandry. Philosophically, the Ban Chung and Ban Day cakes symbolize the concept of the universe with the square green-colored earth and the round white-colored sky. The legend of Sun Tin and Thuy Tin, the mountain god and the water god, shows the natural disasters that the ancient Vietnamese had to contend with, reflected in the desire for Thuy Tin to lose. This was a time when the tropical forests in the Midlands and mountainous regions had not yet been destroyed. In these areas, ancient people could easily fight against wild animals and even hunt them. In the Delta, however, movement was difficult. In the rainy season, flooding was common, and water monsters were not afraid of people. Conquering the unpredictable rivers and deltas was harder and took place later. The legend also shows how important figures who helped the people fight against nature were deified. These gods could still have human emotions as seen through their marriage to the Hung King's princesses, who were ordinary people. The custom of offering rare and precious items as a measure of value was already prevalent during the time of the Hung Kings, according to this legend. The legend of Pudong Tien Vuong Sengjiong describes an invasion by an enemy during the reign of the 6th Hung King, showing the spirit and strength of the Vietnamese people in the fight against foreign invaders to protect their country. Other legends, such as the legend of Mai An Tiem, describe the exploration of the southern land with a new type of fruit, the watermelon. The legend of Betel and Areca explains the custom of chewing betel nuts. It is said that the Hung King had a daughter of extraordinary beauty named My Nuong. The king of the O Viet people, Thuc Vuong, heard about her and sent an envoy to propose marriage. The Hung King wanted to marry her off, but Lach Hao, a civil official, argued that Thuc Vuong only wanted to take over their country and was using the marriage proposal as a pretext. Thuc Vuong, unable to marry My Nuong, grew resentful and told his descendants that they must destroy Van Lang and take over the country. Later, Thuc Vuong's grandson, Thuc Phan, brought his army to attack the country of Van Lang several times, but the Hung King's skilled generals defeated the Thuc army. The Hung King said, "With my divine power, should I be afraid of the Thuc people?" He then only held banquets and did not worry about military affairs. Therefore, when the Thuc army came to attack again, the Hung King was still drunk. The Thuc army approached, and the Hung King was unable to react in time. He had to flee, and then jumped into the river to commit suicide. His generals surrendered. Thus the country of Van Lang was lost in 257 BCE. Thuc Phan had conquered Van Lang, proclaimed himself An Duong Vuong, changed the country's name to Aulak, and established his capital in Koloa. After taking over Van Lang, An Duong Vuong quickly stabilized his army and posted a notice to find talented people. The old chiefs of Van Lang still retained their positions. The state apparatus of the Aulak period did not change much. However, the state's power was higher and more centralized. The king had more power in ruling the country. It was also during this period in China that Qin Shi Huang unified the country after many years of chaos during the Warring States period. He continued his ambition to invade Bac Viet, the land of the Viet tribes in the south. The Qin dynasty mobilized 500,000 troops divided into 5 divisions to conquer and occupied many Bac Viet lands, incorporating them into Chinese territory. In 218 BCE, the Qin general Tu Thu reached the land of Taiao, killed the chief, and occupied the land before advancing into Lac Viet. Thuc Phan, An Duong Vuong, led his people to fight against the invaders. Wherever the Qin army went, the Aulak people practiced a scorched earth policy. The Qin army fought for many years and gradually fell into a state of severe food shortage. When the Qin army was exhausted from lack of food, the Aulak army and people began to attack. When the Qin army wanted to advance or retreat, they were surrounded and ambushed by the Aulak people. Thuc Phan's army launched surprise attacks and used crossbows to attack. Tu Thu regretted not seizing the opportunity and died in this battle. Without their commander, the Qin army became bewildered and chaotic, and all fled back to China. Sima Qian's records of the Grand Historian describe the state of the Qin army at that time as follows. The army was stationed in a useless land. They could not advance or retreat. The men wore armor, and the women had to carry supplies, and they were so miserable they could not live. People hanged themselves on trees along the road, and the dead were everywhere. After the victory against the Qin army, Thuc Fan's reputation echoed throughout the region. To further strengthen his military defense, he had his army and people work day and night to build Koloa Citadel and equip the fortress with many terrifying weapons. And Duong Vuong ordered his generals to train tens of thousands of skilled soldiers to practice shooting crossbows day and night, while he himself often supervised the shooting practice from the royal watchtower. The Olac army's crossbows at that time were famous everywhere as being invincible, praised to be on par with the Qin cavalry. The Lian Shao crossbow became the invincible divine weapon of the country of Olac. It is said that An Duong Vuong tried to build the citadel many times, but it always collapsed. Later, thanks to the golden turtle god, who appeared and crawled in many circles at the foot of the citadel, An Duong Vuong had the citadel built according to the golden turtle's footprints. From then on, the citadel was not demolished anymore. The golden turtle god also pulled out one of its claws and gave it to An Duong Vuong, saying, "The king should keep this claw to use as the crossbow's trigger. When there is an enemy, shoot one shot, and it can kill thousands of enemy soldiers." Around 208–207 BCE, the Qin dynasty in China weakened, and society fell into a period of chaos. Feudal forces rose up and divided the country, fighting and conquering each other everywhere. In Nanhai County, the county governor Ren Xiao was seriously ill and died, handing over power to his deputy, Trio Da. Taking advantage of the situation, Trio Da killed all the officials appointed by the Qin dynasty in Lingnan and raised an army to occupy Guiyang and Xiang counties, proclaiming himself the king of Nam Viet and officially seceding from the Qin dynasty. To expand his territory, Trio Da sent his army to attack Olac. According to legend, Trio Da wanted to seize the country of Olac and brought his army to attack many times, but always failed. Seeing that military force would not work, Trio Da asked An Duong Vuong for a truce and sent his son Trong Thui to propose a marriage alliance. During his time as an envoy, Trong Thui met Mi Chao, the beautiful daughter of An Duong Vuong. Trong Thui fell in love with Mi Chao, and Mi Chao also gradually fell in love with him. An Duong Vuong was very happy when he saw this and married Mi Chao to Trong Thui. Later, Trong Thui deceived Mi Chao into showing him the divine crossbow. Mi Chao showed it to him, and Trong Thui immediately broke the trigger and sent someone to report the news to Trio Da. Trio Da again sent his army to ambush Olac. When the Trio army arrived, An Duong Vuong brought out his crossbow to shoot as before, but the crossbow was broken. The Olac army was defeated and scattered. In 208 BCE, Trio Da captured the country of Olac. The Trio dynasty is a controversial period in Vietnamese history. To this day, Vietnamese historians have two opposing views on this dynasty. One view considers the Trio dynasty a legitimate dynasty of Vietnam because of its high degree of autonomy, its battles against the Han dynasty, and its annexation of some provinces into its territory. The Trio dynasty's loss in 111 BC marked the beginning of the period of Chinese domination. Vietnamese national histories compiled from the Tran dynasty to the Nguyen dynasty all recorded the Trio dynasty as a legitimate dynasty. The second view holds that Trio Da was a Chinese person from the north who served as an official of the Qin dynasty. He was ordered by Qin Shi Huang to bring his army to occupy the Lingnan region of the Bach Viet tribes and bring Chinese immigrants to seize the land. When the Qin dynasty fell, Trieu Da seceded and occupied the land. Therefore, Trieu Da was a foreign invader who invaded the country of Olac. As such, An Duong Vuong's loss of his country marked the beginning of the period of Chinese domination. The official view of modern Vietnamese historians is to deny Trieu Da's legitimacy. Chinese historical records also consider the Trieu dynasty a Chinese dynasty. So what are your views on the legitimacy of the Trieu dynasty? Please leave your opinion in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos.